Patterning is one of the most efficient and powerful commands in SOLIDWORKS. Features, bodies, or surfaces can be patterned, and there's no limit to the number of instances. To get started, we first need to select the features or set of features that we'd like to pattern. Next, we need to select the first direction and then the number of instances in that pattern. Then, the spacing. If we want to pattern in one direction, we're done. However, if we like a grid pattern, like a set of holes or a vent, for instance, we might want to select a second direction. Directions are chosen by selecting any edge or line that goes in the direction we want the pattern to go in. On the screen here, I've got a rectangular block, and I've got one hole, extrude cut 1, already set up. First things first, let's go ahead and choose that feature, and then come up here to the top of the screen under Features and click on Linear Pattern. My direction 1 is my first direction I'd like to go in, and that needs to be any linear edge. So in this case here, let's choose this bottom edge here. It could be that edge, it could be that edge, it could be that edge. It doesn't really matter. Pick one. Choose that edge. Now you can see there's a little arrow and a little blue line showing that pattern direction. Next, let's choose the features to pattern. Well, the feature to pattern is in the tree, and it happens to be that Cut Extrude 1. Notice it gives you a little preview of what's going on here, but it looks like the spacing's not correct. So let's go back up here to the spacing and increase that a little bit. You can see as I move or increase the value, the preview moves on the screen. Let's go ahead and make that 1.2. If we want to type it in, we can type in 1.25. Now, we can control how many of these we want. So let's zoom out a little bit and then increase that number so it goes all the way across the part. Now, if that's all we want, we just click on the green check mark and say, okay, we're done. And there's that new pattern. But what happens if we want holes all the way across the part? Let's go back to Linear Pattern 1, open the feature, and this time, let's click on Direction 2. For Direction 2, I'm going to choose this edge here. So the holes are going that way. Choose how many we'd like, and I'm going to put 2 at first, and then I'm going to adjust that spacing. It looks like 1.4 will work just fine, and let's go ahead and increase the amount that we have in the pattern. If you go one too many, you can see they'll cut off the edge, so we might want to bring that back one more. And we can also adjust the spacing here so it fills it a little bit better. Once you have something that looks good, go ahead and click OK. But before we do that, I want to make sure that I point out that we can also come down here to skip certain holes. So go down here. As soon as you expand that out, notice there's all these little pink dots that show up. Any one of those little pink dots you push, it will turn that instance off of that hole. So you can pick them at randomly. Doesn't really matter. Turn a few off, and they show up down here in this box by the grid pattern. If you want to bring one back, go ahead and click on it and delete it from that box, which then brings it back in the view over here. When you're happy with what you have, click on OK, and there's all our holes. Patterning can be a huge time saver, and the pattern features are easily adjusted. Patterning can be done in the sketch mode. However, that creates a large, complicated sketch, and it's much harder to work with. I always recommend keeping your sketches as simple as possible and patterning and mirroring bodies and features versus sketches. The results will be the same, and there are no rules. However, feature-level patterns are so much easier to work with.